السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you all doing? How is Shawwal going for you guys? Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good. Allahumma barik. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Oh, Allah protect us wherever we are in the world. So we're now going to go to Alamatul Khafdi today, inshallah ta'ala. So this is, inshallah ta'ala, this is the kitab Ajrumiyya with the sharh of it. So it's the sharh and also the it's both, inshallah ta'ala. بإذن الله الكريم. So we have the Tuhfat al-Saniyya and the sharh, which we always used. So inshallah ta'ala, we're now going to go into Alamat al-Khafd. So before I use the book, I'm just going to go to the whiteboard, inshallah ta'ala. So let's go to the whiteboard. Can you all see the whiteboard? So we spoke about Alamat al-Raf'. We spoke about that, right? Which was the first alama we took. We also spoke about Alamat al-Nasb. صح? These two have something in common, which is it is mushtarak, يعني shared by al-ism and a fi'l. A fi'l can be marfu', and so can an ism be marfu'. A fi'l can be mansub, and so can an ism be mansub. Okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah? The next one, which is the one we're going to be taking today, al-khafdu, it's only for ism. صح? And al-jazmu is only for what? Fi'l. Does that make sense? That makes sense so far, right? So here, remember, it had to be 8 things that we do i'rab of. So the 6 that came from ism and the 2 that came from fi'l. Like in here, you only have to do i'rab of 6. And here you only have to do i'rab of 2. Okay? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? So I want you to all remember that, inshallah ta'ala. So we're going to go to Alamat al-Khafd. Today, that's the class. Alamat al-Khafdi, we're gonna say there's 2 names to call it. There's jar and there's also al-Khafd. There's al-jar or there's al-Khafd. Okay? Okay? The alamat, which are asliya, like we always mention, alamat which are asliya. Now, when we say alamat asliya, what we mean by that is you can't ask a person, why is it this sign? The asl la yus'alu anhu. You can't ask about the alamat asliya. You can't. And the alamat asliya are 3. It's الاسم المفرد. It's also جمع التكسير. And it's جمع المؤنث السالم. And then there's علامتان, which are two signs which are فرعيتان. Which are الياء and الفتحة. الخمسة and المثنى and also جمع المذكر السالم. And then there's a فتح, which is الممنوع من الصرف. So today's class, you were expecting only 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Since it's only ism, but then we have this today, which makes it 7. That we do i'rab as well. So what's this one is where the tricky is going to come from, okay? Okay, does that make sense? I think you said that the alamat al-asliya is the things which belong to the alamat rather than the alama itself. Correct, I did say that. The alamat asliya are generally, alamat asliya are generally what? Here is going to be what? Al-kasra. So, sorry, inshallah ta'ala, I didn't write kasra. So alamat asliya are kasra, and these are the 3 that become kasra. So I'm going to give you an example, inshallah ta'ala. Let me give you an example. Okay. You say, ذهبت. Sorry, that's not clear. So you say, ذهبت. بمحمد. صح? Now Muhammad, what's the sign of this? Because there's a ba before it, which is harfu jar. That letter forces Muhammad to have this sign. So Muhammad becomes what? Muhammad becomes majroor بالباء وعلامة جره الكسرة الظاهرة. So Muhammad grammatically analyzed it. Okay. Muhammad is an ism mufrad. صح. Muhammad is a what? Ism which is mufrad. Does that make sense? So if you go to the previous one, Muhammad ism mufrad. Okay. Now what I want to do, inshallah ta'ala, is I want to divide the ism mufrad into 2 types. And this is where it becomes a bit tricky. Okay. The ism mufrad, we've never taken this before. And this is where we have to first take it, because here is all when it actually matters, like 2 types. All before this, it didn't matter which ism mufrad it was. But when you come to al-khafd, or you come to al-jar, whichever you want to call it, it actually matters which ism mufrad it was. So that's why Ajrumi, this kitab, all before this, he didn't categorize ism mufrad. But when he came to this point, he actually categorized the ism mufrad into two. There's an ism mufrad which is known as al-munsarif. So let me write that properly. Al-munsarif. Okay? And there's a ism mufrad which is al-munsarif, and there's also which is غير munsarif. غير منصرف. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm going to actually be more accurate how Ajrumi said it. اسم يعني الذي لا ينصرف. Don't worry, I'll explain it for you. Okay, now it makes sense then. So ism mufrad is two types. Okay, we haven't heard that before. And the jam'u, al-taksir, is also the similar. صح? There is al-munsarif as well. And then الذي لا ينصرف. Okay? Does everyone so far understand this point? When I say do you understand this point, I don't mean do you understand what al-munsarif means and what it doesn't mean. Not that, but do you understand that ism mufrad is divided into two, and one type is called al-munsarif and a type is called alladhi la yansarif? And do you also, or are you all with me that there is a jam'u taksir which is al-munsarif and a jam'u taksir which is alladhi la yansarif? Does that make sense? Does everyone understand? Okay, good. So let's go back to everyone. Keep that in mind. If you haven't understood, brothers and sisters, say now, I don't understand what you're saying. And I'll repeat it again. By the way, this is an interaction class, so I need you to tell me you understood, you haven't understood, because I can't move forward unless I know you've all understood me. So I've got 21 students, everyone's saying they've understood. Is there anyone who hasn't understood? Okay, so I'm taking it as everybody understood. Okay. Yeah, this one. Here it is. And here's the other one. So everyone understand that ism mufrad is either munsarif or alladhi la yansarif. Jam'u taksir is either al-munsarif or alladhi la yansarif. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. So the type which is al-munsarif, the first type that I mentioned, which was al-munsarif, it goes in here. It goes in here. And the jam'u taksir, which I said is munsarif, also goes inside here. The type of ism mufrad, which is the second type, alladhi la yansarif, it goes inside here. And the second type of jam'u taksir, which is alladhi la yansarif, it goes into this category. Does everybody understand that so far? So the jam'u ism mufrad, I categorized it into three. Okay, that's why I categorized it into two. First one I said al-munsarif. that type which is al-munsarif, you take it inside here. الذي لا ينصرفنا, you put it inside here. Does that make sense? You haven't still understood what al-munsarif is and alladhi la yansarif. You haven't yet understood it. So that's why I want you to just understand the categorization first. And then inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to explain to you what al-munsarif means. Okay, beautiful. Jameel. Same with Jam'u Taksir. Jam'u al-Taksir. I divided it into two, right? I said al-munsarif and alladhi la yansarif. Sah, did I not say that? The type which is al-munsarif, you have to put it inside this Jam'u Taksir. And the type is alladhi la yansarif, it goes in the same category here. It goes in al-mamnu' min as-sarf. Does that make sense? Everyone understand this? Okay. So in essence, what we're doing i'rab of in al-khafd is actually 6 things. Sah? Remember, it's khafd is only ism, right? Sah? And remember we said the ism are 6 things that we do i'rab of, right? What was the first one? Al-ism, al-mufrad, al-muthanna, jam' التكسير, جمع المذكر السالم, جمع المؤنث السالم, and جمع sorry الأسماء all that has now happened is this got divided into 2 and this got divided into 2. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So this category that came out from it and this category that came out from it created a 7th thing that we do i'rab of, which is called mamnu' min as-sarf. يعني الذي لا ينصرف, that was here, and الذي لا ينصرف, that was here. The second type created a 7th category that we do i'rab of. Does that make sense? But in essence, it's actually just 6 things. So when you were in al-raf'u and when you were in al-nasbu, it didn't matter what type of categorization it was. All that it mattered was ism mufrad. Like when you come to halatul khafdi, it matters which type of ism mufrad it is. Does that make sense? Is everybody with me? Okay. Okay. So now, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to go and explain for you in great details, inshallah ta'ala. Now, with all that which I did, I'm going to now go and explain it slowly. Okay, everyone pay attention now. Slowly and gradually, you'll understand. Just go slowly with me, okay? So, the first alama is alama asliya, right? And under the alama asliya, how many categories did we bring under there? Al-ism, al-mufrad, and also jam'u al-taksir, and then jam' al-mu'annath al-salim. So let's take the first one, which is here is going to be this type is going to be known as the type which is al-munsarif. Sah? Sah, brothers and sisters, you all with me, right? This type is the type known as اسم مفرد المنصرف. يعني المنصرف. So what does al-munsarif actually mean? What does that word actually mean? It means الذي يقبل الصرف وهو التنوين. So it's basically a singular noun that allows tanween. يعني tanween. It allows it. There are some nouns that don't allow tanween. The ones that allow the tanween are called al-munsarif, and the type that don't allow it are called alladhi la yansarif. Alladhi la yansarif means alladhi la yaqbalu tanween. Alladhi la yansarif means the one that doesn't accept tanween. For example, the Ahmed, okay, Ibrahim, Fatima, and etc. These names, they don't what? They don't accept tanween. They won't ever, you can never say Ahmadun, Ibrahimun, Fatimatun. You can never say that. Okay, you can't. Yeah, they don't accept tanween. Why don't they accept tanween? Don't worry. When we come to this category, we'll talk about it. When we come here, we'll talk about it, okay? The reasons why they don't accept it. For now, all you need to know is they don't accept tanween. Okay? Does everyone understand that? Has everyone understood? I'm trying to go slowly and it's easy for you to understand. I don't want to rush. I want to go slowly so you understand it. The same here applies. The same here applies to Jam'u al-Taksir. It's Jam'u al-Taksir, which is al-Munsarif. Again, al-Munsarif, it means الذي يقبل الصرف وهو التنوين. There's Jam'u al-Taksir which don't accept. Okay? Are we all together? We're going to see them, inshallah ta'ala, what they are and who they are and what's their reason. We're going to talk about it, inshallah ta'ala. Does everyone understand? So, if I say marartu, I came by birrijali. So look at rijali. It's the word rijali. It's a jam'u taksir, right? It's jam'u taksir. It's a jam'u taksir. And it's majroor because there's a ba before it. So we say majroor bil ba'i. مجرور بالباء وعلامة جره كسرة ظاهرة في آخره. صح؟ Is that understood? الجمع المؤنث السالم would be also فرحت بالقانتات. Again, the word القانتات is what? جمع مؤنث السالم مجرور بالباء وعلامة جره كسرة ظاهرة في آخره. You say بالقانتات. صح؟ So we finished علامة أصلية. Now I'm going to go to the second, which is علامة فرعية. فرعية. And the one I'm going to do now is الياء. And there were there were three, right? The علامة for them is ياء. الأسماء الخمسة المثنى and also جمع المذكر السالم. So, for example, you will say, if you're talking about the جمع المؤنث أسماء الخمسة, so you say فرحت بأبيك I became happy with your father. So the word أبيك is what? It's مجرور بالباء وعلامة جره الياء نيابة. يعني the jar on here is a niyaba, meaning it's taking the place of a what? What's this ya taking the place of? What should it have originally been? No. Wow. What's the علامة that it should have been بأبيك في حالة الجر؟ what's the علامة أصلية؟ أي كسرة. نعم. So you say نيابة. So you say نيابة meaning to take in the place of عن الكسرة. صح? But you have to explain why. لأنها it is من الأسماء الخمسة. And we can also add, if you just want to add something on there to grammatically finish it off, وما بعدها it's a مضاف إليه. يعني the kaf is a مضاف إليه. Remember we mentioned that before, that إضافة has to always be there. So we grammatically now analyze this This is the i'rab, the grammatical analysis of it. Look how we had to explain ourselves. We had to say لأنها. We had to say that. We had to explain ourselves because the alama far'iyya. The muthanna is similar as well. You can say marartu, I came by. Let's say bil amirayni. Alhamdulillah. يهديكم الله ويصلح بالكم. مررت بالأميرين. The word al-amirayni is what? It's majrurun with what? بالباء, with the باء. وعلامة جره it's الياء المفتوحة, المفتوح ما قبلها المكسور ما بعدها. Because I want to distinguish it from the جمع مذكر السالم, which is going to come. جمع مؤنث السالم is what? مفتوح ما قبلها, there's a فتحة before the ياء and there's a كسرة after it. Okay, ما بعدها. لأنه, why is it مجرور بالياء? لأنه because it's a مثنى. The noon in there, you don't have to really mention it in this class, but I'm just doing it as a benefit. One noon. The noon is what? عوض عن تنوين في الاسم المفرد. في الاسم المفرد, which we're going to take inshallah ta'ala after this. So this is these two i'rab of it. الاسماء الخمسة and المثنى. Okay. جمع مذكر السالم, how does it work? Same thing. سلمت على المجتهدين. So the word we're looking at here is المجتهدين. المجتهدين is what? مجرور with what? بعلى, because على is making it مجرور. صح. وعلامته جره الياء المكسور ما قبلها المفتوح ما بعدها. لأنه جمع مذكر السالم, والنون عوض عن التنوين في الاسم المفرد. And we did the جمع مذكر السالم. Does everybody understand that now? All of these are مجرور بالياء. When the حروف الخفض went before each and every one of them, they express their jar with ya. Does that make sense to everybody? Now we are left with the final and last one. Okay, which is again علامة فرعية as well, and it's only one thing, and this one is al-fatha. This is only one thing, which is الممنوع من الصرف. Again, the word sarf, just remember it means a tanween. You just have to remember that all the time. The word الصرف just means tanween. يعني ممنوع من الصرف, it means a ممنوع من التنوين. It's been prevented from a tanween. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. This is the trickiest one. I want you to all focus. I want everybody to focus. Radio silence, okay? Everyone focus on this one. Make sure your mind is ready, okay? يا طلاب العلم. You guys are ready? Yeah? Okay. Who likes Arabic grammar? Who likes Arabic grammar? Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah. Okay. Okay, now ممنوع من الصرف that we're talking about is ism, right? Talking about ism. ممنوع من الصرف applies to an ism. Okay. Ism sometimes can look like one, it can look like al-harf. It can resemble al-harf. Or sometimes the ism can it can look like, and it can resemble a fi'l. Is everybody with me so far? Yeah? Does that make sense? Sometimes it can look like a harf, and sometimes it can look like a fi'l. Okay. When it looks like a harf, the ism is called, and it becomes, so the ism becomes mabni. The ism becomes mabni. Does that make sense? If the ism resembles the harf, it's called mabni. That's the name they gave it, the grammarians. And from the examples is هذا, هذه and huwa. The two types of isim, remember that I said we don't do i'rab of. Remember the first and the second. The first one was what? Isim mudhar. Sorry, isim mudmar. And the isim mubham. These two types, they resembled a harf. The mudmar are the pronouns. Ana, nahnu, which are mukhatab. And then huwa, hiya, huma, hum, and hunna. And then you have anta, anti, antuma, antum, and antunna. All of these 12 are called dama'ir. 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 here, 5 here. These 12 are called dama'ir, mudmar. They're all mabni. They all resemble a harf. And then you have the mubham, and the mubham is two things. The mubham, two things. Ism, ishara. Like hada and hadihi. And anything that comes from that. Ha'ula'i, all of that. No problem. And then you have the isim mawsul, which is alladhi and allati and anything that comes from it. Again, they're also a harf. So they're also a mabni because they resemble a harf. Now, why do they resemble a harf? In what way do they resemble a harf? That, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to take in Mutammimatul Ajrumiyya. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Now, ism can also sometimes resemble a fi'l. It can sometimes resemble a fi'l. It can resemble a fi'l. And if it resembles a fi'l, what is it? What is that ism called? It's called mamnu' min as-sarf. You remember the tanween was a sign to recognize what? The tanween was an actual sign for which thing? Isim. MashaAllah, Amina. So the tanween is a alama known for the isim. Because it resembled the fi'l, that alama that he used to have got taken away from it. Just like a verb can never have tanween on it. I'll give you one example, and then inshallah ta'ala, I won't go into this into great details. I'm going to leave it for next Friday. But I'm going to give you an example. The word Ahmed. I want to show you how it resembles a verb. Ahmed is a name, is it not? Is it a name? It can also be a verb. If a person wants to say, I praise Allah, how does he say it? He said Ahmed. They say Ahmadullah. Can you tell the difference between the verb and the noun? No, but just by seeing it like that. Ahmadu and Ahmadu. So Ahmadu, Ahmadu. And there's other names like that. Yazid, for example. Yazidullah. The word Yazid. For example, Yazid. Again, it's a verb and it's a noun at the same time. Does that make sense? Like the name Yashkur, for example, Yazid, Yashkur, Ahmed, and the likes of those, inshallah ta'ala, which we're going to see. So they resemble a what? They resemble a verb. Since when it resembles a verb, that's how it is. It becomes, it's called, يعني, ممنوع من الصرف. Does that make sense? So far, that's all I needed you to understand for today's class. This is what I needed everyone to understand for today's class. Next week, we're going to go into, inshallah ta'ala, and we're going to explain why and how they resemble a verb. Inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to go into that. Okay? Good. Is everybody understood? Anyone? Okay, Fadl, ask if you have any questions. Is my explaining easy to understand? Okay, alhamdulillah, it's very good. Is there any brothers in the class? Is there any brother there? Oh, Muhammad. Who else? Muhammad, I actually think you're the only brother. Two brothers here. Khalas. That's it. Two brothers in the class. Just say number one if there's a brother in the class. Say number one. Yep, just two brothers. Okay. The rest are sisters. Alhamdulillah. Anyone have any questions? Where's everybody from? Canada, Nigeria, Australia, UAE, India, Kenya, Sri Lanka, UAE. Ustad, what's the difference between Isa ibn Maryam and Umar ibn al-Khattab? You mean the people, Do you mean the difference between the two individuals? Or you mean the ibn and the bin? The alif you mean. The alif is actually written. The alif is only written when the two individuals يعني you only write, let me explain on the board. So Umar ibn al-Khattab. That's how it should be written, because Umar is the son of al-Khattab. That's sah. Okay? Like, let's just say Ahmed ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal. Sorry. That's Imam Ahmed's name, actually. His father's Muhammad. A lot of people, they jump it. And they jump to what? His granddad's name. So scholars, they say that's when you're allowed to say Ibn, like that. So you can say Ahmed ibn al-Hanbal, like that. Then you can write the alif. I'll double check if if that's the right answer, but I think that's the right answer. When you jump to his granddad's name, you can put the alif in it to let the person know that this is not his father's name. Okay? By the way, that's got nothing to do with Arabic grammar. That's just what you study in Qawaid al-Khat, which is another science in the Arabic language, how to write. When you write in the Arabic language, how do you write? Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Okay, may Allah bless you all and grant you guys Jannat al-Firdaus. I look forward to next week, inshallah ta'ala. Next Friday, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.